Before I let you go, John Nichols, Washington correspondent for The Nation, I do have to ask you briefly about a piece you wrote, Jeb Bush admires a really lousy president, and it's not his brother.
Boy, do I love you for asking that question.
Man.
Because that's my favorite piece ever.
This is like, what? I mean, tell us about it.
Well, it's just incredible, right? Okay, first off, I sympathize with Jeb Bush. You know, if my dad was an okay president and my brother was quite a mess as a president, it's a little bit hard talking about ex-presidents, right? You have to kind of say something nice about your dad and your brother, and then what do? You say, "Oh, I like Lincoln." Well, you know that doesn't. Everybody likes Lincoln and Washington, so you need to have some other president. You got to pick somebody else,
right? And then it shows that you know your history, because like if you pick an obscure one, right?
You got depth, right? You know, so. I mean, there's a lot of presidents to pick. You could pick John Quincy Adams, you know, maybe not the greatest guy in the world on everything, but boy, did he distinguish himself as a congressman after being president on slavery issues,
right?
Defending the Amistad folks. You know, I mean, there's a lot of history you could go to. Lots of these people. He picks James K. Polk. James K. Polk.
Dark horse candidate for favorite president, granted. Okay.
Good dark horse. No. James K. Polk is the worst pick. I mean, you're hard pressed to get worse than him. James K. Polk is the guy who was accused. Now you can take your political stands as you like, but he was accused of launching a unnecessary war with Mexico in order to expand the United States south of the Mason-Dixon line so that you could add more slave states so that the slave power would never be defeated politically. Now, who said that? Who was arguing that? John Quincy Adams, the former president of the United States. Do you know who voted to censure? Who voted to censure James K. Polk for war making that was both wrong-headed and also sent the country in exactly the wrong direction? Abraham Lincoln. Do you know who went to jail to protest James K. Polk's policies? Henry David Thoreau. The reason we have the book Civil Disobedience that inspired Gandhi and Dr. King is a protest against James K. Polk.
Well, so why do you suppose? Why do you suppose, other than perhaps this was sort of a symbolic stand-in for his brother and his unnecessary war? How could you imagine that Jeb Bush would pick James K. Polk when pressed to name a president he admires?
You know what's incredible about it is it wasn't a casual pick. It clearly was a thought-through choice.
Right.
Because when he's asked about it, he said, well, Polk worked on these tariffs, and Polk did this work, on brought up a couple of other issues, not obviously the Mexican War or slavery. And, he brings up these things. And then he said, I'm going to all do it in one term, and then I'm going to retire after one term, and he did it. And he had all this detail on Polk, except for the fact that one of the reasons Polk only served one term was because everybody was so mad at him. The House of Representatives had voted to censure him. The country was furious at him.
So that's the model presidency he would like to bring to the United States.
It's almost unimaginable, but especially the tenure, frankly, on the issue of slavery. And I know I'm not here to tell you Jeb Bush is, somehow sympathizing with that, or, that's not my point. And I think that would be unfair to him. But what I am saying is, when you're picking your favorite president, you pick the guy who John Quincy Adams and Lincoln and Thoreau condemned because of his wrong-headed positions as regards slavery.
Yeah.
That's a bad pick.
No, it's a mind-blowingly bad pick, and I'm thinking, who might he have picked instead? Harding? I mean, I just...
Harding wasn't that bad, man. I give Harding a...
All right, we're going
to... Victor Debs out of jail.
Well, okay, he did. We'll talk about Harding another time. But I am marveling at this, and I just thought it was hilarious. And John Nichols, Washington correspondent for The Nation, as always, man, thanks for coming on the program.
You're the best, my friend. Keep it up.
You too. We will be right back after this. I'm Richard RJ Eskow, and this is The Zero Hour.